Hey everybody, it's Gail. It is July 19th, 2025. We are 5 days after the last video I posted, and literally the night I posted that, shit started hitting the fan. It's kind of hilarious. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I need to make a very important correction. In my first video, I said that I did not think the Connecting Threads warehouse was the same warehouse as Knitpicks. At least some connecting thread fabric does come from the Columbus warehouse, and according to what I just looked up, I think everything from Connecting Threads comes from the same warehouse as the Knitpicks and We Crochet yarn that is stored in Columbus, Ohio. And I want to thank Stitch is Gonna Stitch, who made a video about this situation using my video as a base, just like as a starting point, because she showed warehouse photos from a Knitpicks blog from 2011 that talked about the Connecting Threads fabric that's in there. So I really appreciate her doing that, and I'm very sorry that I did not double check every single warehouse location of all of those brands before I posted my first video. That's what I should have done. And should I ever need to do another video like this, God, I hope not. I would like to have one series of videos like this, frankly, because this is not what I do. I don't do commentary, I don't do anti-scam, I don't do bad business content. This is not my usual bag. But I will learn from this, and should I need it in the future, I will be very hard-edged about how much I do to prove where stuff is, should we have a situation like this again, that I feel the need to talk about. So thank you to Stitch is Gonna Stitch for posting the screenshot of that blog post so that I went and found it, and we're actually going to use some of the photos that are in that blog post to talk a little bit later on about the warehouse, because I want to have another discussion about the warehouse and their inspection claims, because I now have proof that they're lying about the number of inspections. And I just, I really appreciate Stitch is Gonna Stitch finding that extra information, and I'm gonna link her video down in the basement, and she seems great. If I'm ever in Northern Ohio, I would love to hang out with her, and in fact, we're moving to Pittsburgh in like 5 weeks, so, you know, maybe we do hang out. That'd be awesome. Anyway, July 14th was the last time I posted a video about this, and new video posted, and I had someone leave a comment, and this person, if they're watching this video, will know it's their comment. And you can go back to the old video and find their comment, and you can see my reply to them, which I do my best in comment replies to meet you where you're at in terms of how you're speaking to me. If we're having fun and, you know, lovingly insulting each other, cool. If you come to me and you are talking to me in a polite, professional way, which is how I feel this comment was intended, I will do my best to respond to you that same way in the comments. So you can go back and find it if you want. I'm not going to be reading my reply comment here. I am going to be giving you the kind of replies I've been giving you, but I do want to stress, I am not trying to put this person on blast. I've wiped out their name in the screenshot you're going to see. I do not want this person put on blast. Because what this comment is actually the best written example I have of what I have seen on Instagram and here on YouTube of people defending Knitpicks to me and saying, well, I've never had a problem. I didn't have a problem. This hasn't been happening to me. And so I am using this comment as an example of an overall vibe. And so to the person who left this comment, I have no ill will towards you. We got no beef. And I hope that you read my reply in the previous video and, you know, sort of sat with some of the things that I said. I will be saying those same things, but cursing. Like, let's be real. We know what's about to happen. But also, I cannot stress enough, this is an example of an overarching issue I've seen of people justifying, defending, and otherwise trying to make Knitpicks look like they're not being fucking liars. When in fact, Knitpicks is a bunch of fucking liars. So I just want to be very, very clear on that. So let's start reading the comment, and we will discuss it as it goes. So this was on my second video. That's very important here. After seeing your first video, I called the customer service to cancel my order. By the way, anyone who isn't getting responses via email, why not call? They answered me with no wait and were super helpful. I think it's unfair to complain about unresponsiveness when people haven't even tried calling. All right, first of all, the reason people email when we're talking about product fuckery is because the best way to deal with trying to get a refund or a return or an exchange for a defective product is to have it in writing. Because then you can't sit there and go, okay, because then basically the company can't come back later if they're a bunch of assholes and go, oh, we never agreed to a refund. We never agreed to pay for shipping. We never agreed. Where is it written down? So I highly recommend anybody who is ever doing any sort of exchange, refund, anything like that, get it in writing. You go to the customer service email specifically to do that. Second of all, Knitpicks gives you a customer service email to reach out to. So, they should be answering their fucking emails. And if there is a lag for some reason, which can happen, you should have an automatic response that explains that there's a lag. I've been applying to fucking apartments all over Pittsburgh in the last several weeks. The number of emails I get that are like, hey, we got it. We'll get back to you in this time window. Like, that's a very common thing. That is how a lot of businesses handle heavy customer service questions. Is that they ask you to please give them a little time to get back to you. So not calling is not a fair thing to tell people, well, why didn't you call? Well, because I used the email they said to use. And in fact, what's being discussed here is in the last video, I showed you screen caps of someone on Instagram who did find carpet beetles in a very recent order, who said, I emailed them twice, I DM'd them on Instagram. And as I was editing that video, they finally got a response, and I have that in this video as well, like what happens after the response that I showed in the last video. So you should not be required to do every fucking thing you possibly can to get customer service to tell you something. And it's kind of a shitty thing to be like, well, why didn't you do this? How could you complain about unresponsiveness? Well, because I used a channel they told me to use and they didn't fucking respond. That's a perfectly valid customer service complaint. But also, very important to note, when you call customer service, I think all customer service lines have the may be recorded. May be recorded is doing some heavy lifting for any liability lawsuit that might happen. Because the company can say, oh, we didn't record that call. Whereas forcing them to write it down means that they are liable for the information they have provided you in writing. Okay? Very important. Where was I? They told me that they have had 3 exterminators out there and have been fumigated. Really, 3? Because I was told by a manager at the company, I'm still being vague about exactly who that person was, because the company's a bunch of assholes, and putting it on one individual is not fair, because the problem is not this person. The problem is the company's a bunch of assholes, okay? Because what I got told was that there had been an inspection. And now, and by the way, that's in the form email that a bunch of people got. When they were like, there's fucking eggs and larvae and full-size goddamn insects in my yard. And, people, like, one of the Reddit threads that's in the Google Doc Somebody shared the text of the same thing I got as the first thing I got directly from the company when they reached out to me on Instagram. So I find it very interesting that, 2 weeks before this person called, I got told there had been an inspection and new procedures put in place for preventative measures. This person is being told 3 exterminators and fumigation. And I'm assuming you're supposed to imply here that every exterminator did some kind of fumigation. Because, we had 3 exterminators come out and they fumigated. So, just real fucking interesting that the people on the call who don't write down what they say to you, and so therefore are not liable for the things that they say to you, are saying, oh yeah, we've had 3 exterminators out. But also, I feel like this would be great information to answer the question I asked over and over and over again on the Knitpicks Instagram before they fucking blocked me. I said, hey, why aren't you talking about it? What are your measures? What are your measures? What did you do? Tell us what you did. They never answered me. But this person calls and they say, oh yeah, we've had 3 exterminators out. Yeah. They said that despite some complaints, it's a small number compared to the 4,000 orders a day. Yeah, that's some jerk-off shit. Oh, we had 4,000 orders a day. Oh, I don't fucking care. Much like telling me that you're a dedicated group of knitters and crocheters, the number you're trying to imply to me don't mean shit to the problem I'm asking about. 4,000 orders a day that they got during the 246 sale. Okay, so the first Reddit post I can find about this whole thing is from 9 months ago. That was not during the 246 sale. The other, the Craft Snark thread that has the form email in it was not from the 246 sale. The person on the Knitpicks Lovers Ravelry group who said, holy shit, there's larvae in my yarn, and Knitpicks went, what? What? We've never heard of this. That was not from the 246 sale. What this customer service rep is trying to do, 100% because they are being told by the company to do this, I cannot stress this enough, again, company shitty, individuals were leaving alone in this, is that they are trying to minimize the problem as much as possible. So we only got a small number of complaints. Okay, how small of a number? And how many of those complaints were about the infestation issue? This is really important because a small number of complaints, are you counting all of the complaints in one big bowl? Or are you actually separating them out and saying we only received a small number of complaints about the infestation? Also, when you have 4,000 orders a day, is it 40 complaints? Is it 400 complaints? Because those are both a small number compared to 4,000. Is it total over this 246 sale that you're trying to use as this imaginary boundary of when this problem started? How long did that sale go on? How many orders did you have total? And how many complaints in total from customers did you receive? And of that amount, how many were about the infestation? This is vague language intended to calm you and convince you that everything's fine. Because when they say, oh, there's been a small number of complaints. Oh, well, yeah, there's always a small number of complaints. Compared to the 4,000 orders a day. Oh my God, that's so many orders and you had such a small number of complaints. It really must not have been anything. Yeah. What is a small number to them? During the 246 sale. Okay, so during this one very tiny window of time that you did this huge amount of sales because you're running this massive sale after your summer sale. And by the way, there have been some people noting that like the summer sale does not usually lead into another sale like this. And you know what, fuck it, I am going to make an unproven claim, because I agree with the people who have said it casually, not saying it publicly like I am. I believe Knitpicks put a sale after a sale because they are trying to clear the warehouse of all the yarn that they know has been invested. I firmly believe that that is what's happening. And Knitpicks, honestly, I think you're probably watching this. Feel free to send me a cease and desist, because I would love to have a reason to request documents from you about this problem. Absolutely love to have an excuse to request proof that you've actually dealt with this problem. And to see all of those customer complaints from the 246 sale, because if you remove all customer identifying information, there's no reason you can't share them. You know, just, I dare you, basically. Where was I? They also said they have never received an actual pictures of bugs or eggs in yarn. First of all, eggs and larvae of these carpet beetles are very, very tiny. Second of all, even the adults are pretty small. Third of all, we've never gotten a photo of it. Okay, then why do you have an answer as to what you've done to fix the problem? If no one's ever provided you photographic proof, why have you taken all these steps? Because the thing is, as a company who does have, your Knitpicks is going, oh, people think this is a problem. It's not really a problem. It is a fucking problem. But the thing to understand about this is that by saying, well, no one's ever shown us a photograph. Well, actually they have. It's in my last video. But also, you refunded someone 9 months ago who didn't provide you any photos, apparently, based on what you're saying. So why wouldn't you ask for photos to prove the problem? Because this is a business-destroying problem for you. So I would think that if you were repeatedly seeing people going, oh shit, there's an infestation, there's an infestation, there's an infestation, and it's in my yarn, why aren't you asking for proof? Is it because maybe you know it's true? And if you were given photographic proof and are still being tight-lipped, your asses can get sued? Could that maybe be the fucking problem? On a personal note here, if I opened up my Knitpicks order and found proof of infestation, there would be no photos, because I would yeet that box across the street, set it on fire with a flamethrower, and make sure it never entered my fucking house. That is if I knew it was possibly a problem and remembered to open it on the porch. Otherwise, I would yeet it across the block from this here living room. I would not be thinking, oh, I need photographic evidence of this, because I would be thinking, holy shit, my house could get fucked. So, I understand how it's possible that people did not stop and go, oh, I need photographic evidence of this. Because the more time you spend with that box open, the higher risk you have of a fucking problem in your house. But also there's no photographic evidence. A company that is actually worried about the problem and wanting to do something about it would ask you for photographs. And here's the reason why. Because if they can see what's in the photographs. So they look at the photographs and let's say they see 2 eggs. You can see 2 eggs. Okay, well then 2 eggs is a different situation than a bunch of eggs and some larvae. These are 2 different levels of problem. The other thing is, with or without photographs, Knitpicks can see what your order is, can track back to where it was scanned at the warehouse as it was being loaded. This is common practice. They even talk about it in the blog post from 2011 that they were doing this sort of tracking. This is how warehouses know where shit is. And then, based on that, you can go to the exact place in the warehouse or send someone to the exact place in the warehouse. I don't know where customer service is based. And pull the yarn that appears to have a problem and quarantine it and call an exterminator. And the exterminator can come out and knows exactly what to look for and knows how to see the little tiny eggs and the little tiny larvae. And can tell you, oh yeah, this is a fucking problem. Saying we've never seen photos, that is covering your ass because you never asked for them, because you didn't want to deal with the problem. You were hoping that this would all happen and nobody would notice and you wouldn't be in the shit. Unfortunately, I found out about it and I'm a huge cunt. So here we are. Here we go. One person said their package was filled with bugs, but that they couldn't get a picture. Yeah. Because it's filled with bugs. And if you get close enough to get a picture, and you're going to have to get real close because these are tiny eggs and tiny larvae and tiny bugs, they could get on you and get into your house. It is not the job of the customer to do the due diligence the company should be doing. Have you seen any actual photo evidence of these bugs? Yes, they were in the video you were commenting on. Finally, they told me that I could return the yarn, no problem. They said we would refund you for any reason. If you just didn't like the color, we would refund you. Okay. Cool. This was my first time placing an order with Knitpicks. And I haven't even gotten it yet. So I'm not advocating for them. Yes, you are. This entire comment is you advocating for them because you had a very positive customer service experience. The comments like this are because people have had a very positive experience. Because they've used Knitpicks for years and never had a problem. Because we are all, as fiber artists, loyal to the yarns that work well for us. We want the best situation to be true. And this customer service rep is using that to convince this commenter, and the customer service reps are using that to convince a lot of other customers, no, it's totally fine. But then also turning around and blaming customers for not providing evidence when they have provided evidence. They said there's fucking bugs in my yarn. And there keeps being bugs in the yarn. And Knitpicks is literally on their Ravelry group going, we've never heard of this. When we know full well they've refunded at least some fucking people. So yes, people who are in there going, I've never had a problem. I don't think this is true. You're advocating for Knitpicks. You are defending a company. The company is not your friend. Knitpicks is not your friend. Okay? Like, that fucking form email with, we're a small group of dedicated knitters and crocheters. Suck my smaller tit. Alright? Because no, you are not a dedicated group. Of a small dedicated group of knitters and crocheters. You are a company, owned by a company, who is willing to lie to your customers over and over and over again. Because you know the loyalty fiber artists have to yarn. And you know the loyalty knitters and crocheters have to fellow fiber artists. And you were, Knitpicks, you were genuinely using that to try to get out of trouble. That's what you're doing. I just want stronger evidence of the issues. Okay. So I have 2 videos with evidence. I have this video, which is going to be further evidence. There are comments on both of the previous videos, and on my Instagram reels, and on my Instagram posts. There's Reddit threads. And, like, I understand. I do. You were excited. You got to be part of the sale. You wanted to try the Sean because you've heard about it. Or you've been a long-time customer and you don't want to have to deal with finding dupes of everything. I just finished a sweater for Sean that I had to go out and find something that was going to work with the swish worsted I was using because I didn't have enough to finish it, and I wasn't going to buy more. Malabrigo Rios, by the way, if you're curious. But I understand what's happening to everybody sitting around trying to convince me that I'm being the asshole. And, like, I am being an asshole, but I'm right. Alright? It's not fun when the asshole is right. Especially when it's about something that you use and you love, and it's for something that means a lot to you. Like crocheting means everything to me, you guys. It is such a wonderful thing in my life. Okay? I have become such an artist because of crochet. And I know that's true for a lot of us. And so I have sympathy for people who don't want this to be true and who want to try and justify why it's not true. And so I have sympathy for this commenter who is a new customer and wants a positive experience, but also they're kissing your entire ass because you're a new customer and they will do anything they can to keep you convinced that they're not a bunch of assholes, because a lot of longtime customers like myself are telling them to go fuck themselves over this because we don't want to be lied to. I hope that your yarn showed up and was 100% useful and safe. Truly. But just because it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean it isn't happening. Just because it's not the evidence you want or that Knitpicks has convinced you you need doesn't mean it's not happening. And in fact, that is kind of the core issue that brought me to making these videos, because Knitpicks went, because people went, I found larvae and eggs and full-size insects. And people went, yeah, me too, me too, me too, me too. And was it every single customer? No, of course not. But for months and months and months, Knitpicks has gone, we don't know what you're talking about. Oh, now we have a form email that says, oh yeah, we totally looked into it. But then customer service says, oh, we've looked into it 3 times. And then the manager who spoke to me and sent me that form email that said 1 inspection went, I said, hey, what are the preventative measures? What are you doing differently now that you're doing because you've learned from this situation? By the way, he was the one, and it's in the form email that said, you know, we've got new measures in place. Preventative measures. Still not admitting that there is a problem. And here's the thing. I write a lot of safety documents as my job. One of the things you do when you're dealing with safety is you do a lot of preventative work. The goal is that nobody ever has to go to the doctor. All right? The goal is that you follow the fucking rules. You don't fall off the tall thing. You don't get electrocuted by the high voltage thing. You don't pass out because you're in a Cat 4 arc flash suit in 100-degree weather. Like, preventative. That is the goal of safety, is that everything you do before you get hurt keeps you from getting hurt. And it's the same thing with things like warehouse inspections. You do the inspections and you get pest control in, and you do all of these things on a regular basis so that you don't end up with an infestation, because you catch it before it gets bad. And so there's no reason to refuse to answer my question about what are the preventative measures, because you've said, yes, we looked into it and we found no pests. But we did do some new stuff. And that's a totally regular thing to do when you find out that, like, oh, hey, we've gotten customer complaints that, you know, there's an infestation. Okay, well, let's look into it. Okay, well, exterminator said no problem. But what can we do to further improve our safety standards? Okay? This is how new safety procedures get written. This is how people think outside the box and come up with new ways to do things that are beneficial to the company and the customer. And so after this comment from this person, let me see. I'm just double checking my numbers here. Okay. So after I got this comment from that person, and I saw that customer service had said 3 inspections, I sent an email to the person I had been emailing who didn't answer my previous email, And I was like, probably not going to answer this one, but gonna try. So, hi, Redacted. I had someone reach out to me and tell me that they spoke with a customer service rep for KP over the phone. The following claims were made by the person who spoke to me. 1. The KP customer service rep says 3 different exterminators have come to the warehouse and at least 1 round of fumigation has taken place. Possibly fumigation on all 3 visits. The language was a bit vague from the person who spoke to me. Can you confirm via accounts payable receipts or similar paperwork that this was done? If not, could you provide me with the names of the exterminating company or companies so I can follow up with them? And yes, this is a big ask. Show me your fucking paperwork. But also, all I'm asking for is a receipt. All I'm asking for is that you list the extermination companies in Columbus, Ohio that you used. I'll do the legwork. That's fine. But like, I acknowledge that is a big ask. That is like a journalist after your ask. And it was intentional because he didn't answer my previous questions about those measures. And now he's part of a company that is giving different answers for how many inspections. So how about you show me some fucking receipts? Let's talk about the evidence I need to believe you're not full of shit. 2, the KP customer service rep also said that over the 4,000 orders per day for the 246 sale, only a small number were reported for containing insects. Could you provide me an estimate of that number or the number of customer service concerns you received from it? See my previous statement about, are we lumping them all together? Are they actually individual? Are you actually tracking how many people are calling you about bugs? 3, could you explain why the script for your customer service reps over the phone is so different from the form email being sent to customers? Because the form email says 1 inspection happened. Because the form email to customers doesn't give the detail on exterminators as the phone rep did. Maybe read your own fucking words, Gail. And it feels like a misstep to have some different replies. You notice how nice... It feels like a misstep. I'm not blaming you. I'm just curious. But like I said in my last video, I can do professional very well, and I know that gets the best results in situations like this. So that is the reason that I talk to you like I talk to you in my videos, but my emails and my comment replies and that sort of thing are very different tonally. All the same points apply. Number 4. I asked you this in a previous email, but I want to ask again. This is the email they didn't answer. What are your plans for explaining to your customer base what the new preventative measures are in the warehouse and how are they an improvement over previous measures? Related, why have you not explained these measures in full in a forum where customers can see them and gain confidence in your brand for handling the situation as best as possible? I am giving you every fucking chance to give me information to prove me wrong. I am coming to you and saying, this is what I've heard, this is what I've seen, this is what I believe is happening. Prove me fucking wrong. And I'll own up to it. I'll make a whole huge fucking video. I'll delete the previous videos. You will not believe how hard I will show up. Okay, I probably won't delete the previous videos. But they will have a disclaimer. I will re-upload them with a disclaimer. Okay? Because I think it's always very important to be as transparent as possible and to have an archive of what you've said and how you've said it and when you said it and why you said it. So no, I probably would not delete the videos, but I would re-upload them with a disclaimer and tell you, hey, these videos exist so you can see what I said, when I said it, why I said it, and, there's a link to a video where it turns out Knitpicks wasn't a bunch of fucking liars. I would do it. 5. I know at one point KP said the infestation was springtail beetles. This goes back to the Reddit posts I've seen. But I've spoken to someone who raises them. That was... I'm sorry, I forgot to get a screen cap of your comments before I started filming. And I'm probably not going to do it because I just want to get this video up. But to the commenter who raised springtail beetles before, you're fantastic. Like, you raise these beetles and you have a bunch of yarn in your house and you know your shit. And I thank you for that. I genuinely thank you for that. but I've spoken to someone who raises them, and springtails have no interest in yarn. They do not see it as a food source, so it does not make sense that they would lay eggs in a place where their young could not easily get food. Can you explain why springtail beetles were named as the possible infestation? Best, Gail. The reason I asked this question is because of that expert in the previous video comments who explained that wet cardboard. And the thing is, here is a photo from the Knitpicks warehouse. This is again from 2011, but honestly, the warehouse probably looks exactly the same. And this kind of setup for storing items that need to be scanned and shipped is very, very common. You have the little, like, cut-out front boxes, and they sit on the shelf, and you take care of things. Springtail beetles like wet cardboard, and, like, you've got everything set up so that you shouldn't have wet cardboard in your warehouse, because you've got the steel shelves, and they're grating, so, like, moisture isn't going to get caught in them. You've got airflow, like, all of these things you need to keep things dry and safe. So, I think it's perfectly reasonable to be like, why did you think it was springtails? Was there a roof leak? You know, in the corner where you put the wet cardboard, where you put the broken down boxes before you send them to recycling, was there a roof leak? Was there a leak near the packing area? Was there a leak that fucked up a bunch of shelves? You know, like, if that happened, it happened. Like, it sucks, but it happens. But you claimed it was these beetles that don't even eat yarn, so they wouldn't be in yarn. But you've also never explained why that was your first guess. I think, and this is my own opinion, they said springtail beetles because they know those don't eat yarn. I think they chose an insect that is not destructive to their product, so that if there started being issues with the yarn breaking, being found with holes in it, these sorts of things, they could say, oh, it must be a manufacturing defect. Oh, it must be. Oh, it must be. Because the only infestation we know about is these beetles that don't eat yarn. I think it was an ass covering. I really do. I think that they came up with an insect that they could blame for the problem, while also not having to take responsibility for the destruction of the yarn. So I didn't get a response to that email. Then the next day, I found out I was blocked. So July 14th, I put up my second video. I got that comment. I used that comment to write the new email on July 14th. And July 15th, I got up and I was blocked. I'm only blocked by Knitpicks, not by We Crochet, which is a fascinating choice. The temptation to start being a dick on the We Crochet posts is high, but I'm not gonna. The other thing I do want to say is that I would have blocked me too if I was someone working for that company, because I'm showing up on every post going, hey, why you lying? Why you lying? Why you lying? Why you lying? Like, of course you fucking block me. What's interesting is that I did the reel. I started leaving the comments on the posts. Knitpicks came into my DMs after like the third or fourth post where I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? We then had the email exchanges that I read in the previous one. They didn't answer my last email, but they continued to let me get on their post going, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then I made a new video and sent that email. And then I'm blocked. Something's going on. And I think what's going on is that they're really fucking scared. Because what they're seeing on the reel, what they're seeing in my comments here on YouTube, what they're seeing in... what they were seeing on the post where I was commenting, people were liking my comments. People were showing that they also wanted an answer to the problem. I have no doubt that they've read the comments on my reel. I have no doubt that they have come to YouTube and read this stuff, because that's what you do when you're a company trying to figure out how much shit you're in because someone exposes you for lying. And so the fact that it all happened, I commented on, hold on, let me check here. I think, did I comment on the 14th? There's the bugs. All right, I commented on a post on the 13th. And then I just don't think there was anything on the 14th, because it would have been in here, because I'm looking at my master document. And so I commented on the 13th. I put the video up on the 14th. I put the reel up on Instagram saying the video was up. I got the comment from this person. I used that information to write a polite email asking further questions. And then on the 15th, they blocked me. If they're not doing anything wrong, if in fact everything I have told you guys in these videos is incorrect, misconstrued, misunderstood, why are you blocking me instead of sending me a cease and desist? Because that's what a cease and desist is for. You use a cease and desist as a company or a person because someone is saying a bunch of fucking lies about you. And you want it to stop. However, if they're not lies and you know that by sending a cease and desist you open yourself up to the possibility of an asshole like me requesting documents to prove that I've been lying about you, you don't send the cease and desist because you don't want to be responsible for answering all the questions I'm asking. They have not put a cease and desist on my ass because I'm not lying. Because if I pushed and went through discovery and got the documents, it would prove that I'm not lying. That is why they blocked me. Because if they block me, I can't keep commenting and reminding people about the problem on their own fucking profile. If they block me, I can't send them DMs. Although I didn't send them DMs. They DM'd me and I emailed them. If they don't answer my emails, they can't get caught in a lie. Well, that's what they thought. But so the form email that said, hey, we've done one inspection, and then the customer service rep said there were 3 inspections. Well, fascinatingly, the person who was giving me updates about finding the carpet beetles in their very recent order, who did not get an answer to 2 emails or a DM until right before I was about to post, got a response from Knitpicks. And it's a form letter. But it's been updated. So keep in mind that the form letter that I read originally from Knitpicks to me in my DMs, the form letter that is on the Reddit post from Craftsnark, that's the one a lot of people have been like, yep, I got that one. That one's been going around for months. All right, that's very important. So let's take a look at what the Knitpicks rep says to this nice person on Instagram who sent me these screenshots. Again, the Knitpicks rep name is removed. I've also removed the name of the Instagram person because, you know, they're not a public figure. Let's go. Dear Blank, thank you for reaching out. As fellow knitters and crocheters, we took the report of a potential bug issue very seriously and promptly brought in professional pest control to conduct an internal inspection at our warehouse. Okay. That is how pest control works. But come on. While we are happy to report that the inspection has revealed no live bugs or larvae in any kind in our facility, what about eggs? Were there eggs? Because you don't say there's no eggs. You say there's no live bugs or larvae. That's not the same thing as eggs. We are not taking any chances. We're implementing additional preventative steps to make sure every skein that leaves our building meets the high standards we hold for our yarns and for you. We have also had another inspection from a second pest control company, and they didn't find any infestation in our warehouse. Okay, so July 14th, I am informed by a commenter that they were told in a phone call from customer service that there were 3 inspections and at least 1 fumigation. And on July 15th, that's when these are from, this customer service rep is saying we've had 2 inspections. No mention of fumigation. So which one is it? When did the second inspection happen? Because I was told in the original DM I got that there had been 1 inspection. And then someone called a couple of weeks later and said there were 3 in fumigation. And now this person is being told there have been 2 inspections and no fumigations. So which is it? Why are there 3 answers to this question? Because here's the thing. If you had a second or third inspection from the time you wrote the first form email, the one that I got, the one that a lot of people got, why wouldn't you update that after the second inspection, after the third inspection? This is a customer service script. They get updated as shit happens. Guess who's written them? And then we have, we're passionate about our natural fibers, blah, blah, blah. I bitched about this in the last video, so this is more of the exact same form letter everybody else got. Where is, your peace of mind matters deeply to us, and we're so grateful you took the time to let us know your concerns. Okay, so this customer's peace of mind matters to you, but it took 2 emails and a DM for you to respond with anything. Please let us know if there is anything else we can do to help. And bless this person. Because they responded in a way that I would have liked to respond had I been having the issue myself. And that is as follows. There is clearly an issue with believing the reality of your customers. How can you say there are no bugs when customers have been complaining for months? There is no other way that I would have gotten carpet beetles in my house. I'm telling you that there were bugs in my order and you are completely brushing me off. I remind you, this person provided proof. That photographic proof that people have been like, well, where's the proof? This person provided photographic proof. Also, I've had several commenters across the board where I'm talking about this go, wait a minute. I've been dealing with a carpet beetle infestation, and it started shortly after a Knitpicks order. And nothing else in my house changed. So, what specifically are you doing to make sure that every skein meets your standards? Love the quotes there. Oh God, so bitchy. This vague language is making it much harder to regain trust for Knitpicks. Exactly. I've seen this same script used before, and instead of using pre-written PR language, I would appreciate if you would actually talk to me as the customer. And that's the thing, this is all PR. That's all these scripts are. Like, we're going to look the best we possibly can. We're going to say whatever we can to look good. And the rep responded, thanks again for your patience while we've looked into this. This is an ongoing problem that's been going on for 9 months at least, that you guys have had a previous form email for. What do you have to look into? You should be able to pull the answer as you send the first reply email. I want to share a few more details from our warehouse team about the steps we've been taking since we were first made aware of a possible issue. I know the possible issue is a liability thing. If they keep saying possible issue, they don't have to take responsibility for the ongoing infestation. But also, I want to share a few more details. Oh, you want to share them. You were not forced into sharing them because a customer got on your ass and stayed there. You were not forced to share them because I got on your ass and stayed there. And really interesting how after I asked 2 different times, what are your measures, what are you doing? And got no answer. Suddenly customer service has an answer. Here are the things. Heat treatment for yarns. Okay, that's something I've seen a lot of people say works. Cool. But how hot? How long? Because those things matter. Regular facility monitoring. What does that mean? How regular is the monitoring? Because in the last 9 months, you've said we've had 1 inspection, we found nothing. We had 2 inspections, we totally found nothing. We had 3 inspections, and we fumigated. So which one is it? What regular monitoring did you actually do? Exterior protection to keep bugs out. Okay, well, but that's interesting too, because you said you did an internal investigation in the warehouse with the exterminator. You didn't say anything about external. And like, here's the thing, for warehouses, external work is very important. The exterminators will spray all around the edges of the building so that the chance of bugs actually getting inside is very low. However, it's very interesting that suddenly they're talking about external inspections when they've never brought them up before, and want you to know that they went through the inside of the warehouse before. And our ongoing practice of storing yarn in protective plastic until it ships. Bitch. I have gotten so much Knitpicks over the years. Hold on. Excuse me. I've gotten so much Knitpicks over the years. Unless I ask you to put plastic on the bottom of the box, you don't. I have to click a fucking box. And when you say protective plastic wrapping, what does that mean? Because I have regularly gotten the 3 skeins that were still in the wide open ripped bag that the entire bulk order was originally in. That's not protective. There's a big fucking hole in it. It's not taped over. It's not even folded sometimes, you guys. Okay? The plastic isn't going to be protective if there's a huge fucking hole in it. So no, you're not doing that. I know the situation has been frustrating. And I want you to know, just as someone who's been part of this company for years, oh, fuck you. It doesn't matter how many years you've been with the company. It doesn't matter how much you like the company. This is not about whether you like what you're doing or whether you think things are going well. This is about customers telling you over and over and over again that you have a fucking problem. I want you to know, just as someone who's been part of the company for years, that we truly care about our customers. No, you don't. We'd never, italicized, knowingly send out yarn that wasn't up to our standards. You have. Over and over and over again. The folks in the warehouse take real pride in every skein that goes out the door, and we're doing everything we can to make sure your experience reflects that. Okay, so first of all, you're either, first of all, fuck your use of folks. That is an attempt to sound relatable and approachable and friendly. Second of all, does the warehouse know you're throwing them under the bus? Because that's what this is. Oh, we're doing everything we can. I've been with the company for years. We would never send out a bad skein. The folks at the warehouse do their best. So the warehouse, the people at the warehouse are failing you, not customer service, not the company as a whole. No. The fault is the people at the warehouse. That said, we want to make this right. We're happy to either refund or replace your order, whatever feels best to you. The level of audacity to say to someone who has said, I found an insect infestation in your product, to go, oh, we'll just send you a new product. Are you fucking insane? If you do choose a replacement, I just wanted to let you know that one of the yarns is really low in inventory. Lion Brand Wool Ease DK Pumpkin. You can select another color to replace that if necessary. Also, all other yarns that were in your order have sufficient stock to send out to you. Here's the thing. They might actually be low on this DK Pumpkin. I don't know. But to say you can replace it or we can send you new product. But if we send you new product, you have to make a choice right now. Because this color that you want is almost gone. I will be out of the office Friday the 18th and next Monday the 21st, so if you reply later, I will see it when I get back. Why are you putting a ticking clock on a customer service issue? You are the customer service person who was assigned this when it was elevated to a oh shit problem. I am available until 1:30 Pacific time today and will wait to hear back from you. Please let me know what you'd prefer. And again, thank you so much for reaching out and being part of the community. Why the fuck are you putting a ticking clock on this? This is an issue that this person had to get real bitchy about to even get a response. And now you're trying to turn around and go, oh, we totally want to help you and do the best thing we can for you. By the way, we need an answer right now. We need an answer now because I'm going on vacation. Okay, then assign somebody else to the fucking ticket. Like, you need to tell us if you want the yarn right away because, oh my god, we're almost out of that color you want. But also, I am going to be gone and will not be here to answer your questions. I won't see your answer until I get back. Then why the fuck are you in charge of this ticket? Why the fuck don't you have someone to take over the ticket? Why the fuck is it not possible to just have a second person to take care of the fucking ticket? So that was the 17th, and this person took the refund. They don't want the yarn in their house, understandably. But just, why did it take getting elevated after 2 emails and a DM to get, and then a second email going, fucking talk to me about what you're doing to make this right, to even get the vague answers of what they're doing to make sure this infestation totally never happened? Because it was probable. They didn't find any live bugs or larvae. They totally did 1, 2, or 3 inspections. They maybe or maybe did not fumigate. They totally did an external review, but maybe also an internal review, but maybe neither. So what the fuck? Okay, so that's all of that. Real quickly, I cannot believe I've been talking this long. I can. I want to talk to you a little bit about these inspection claims, which I talked about previously, but now that we've had several claims of how many and what they did. So this is a Google Maps photo of the Columbus warehouse. It is one very large building. Probably 50,000 square feet. I worked in a warehouse that's 25,000, and this looks to be about twice the size. I might be wrong. My point is, it's fucking huge. Okay? Now, here might just be one photo. I don't remember how many photos I saved for this. But here's at least a photo of what the warehouse looks like inside. And you can see in the photo with the yarn that some of that packaging is open. And again, this is from 2011. But again, I have regularly received yarn from Knitpicks from 2017 forward, where if I only ordered 2 skeins and that was what was left in the bulk bag, they just sent the bulk bag with the big hole ripped in it and it not taped over. Okay, so that's how they store it in the warehouse once they open the bulk bag. The bulk bag stays open, and that plastic protective covering doesn't do shit because there's a big fucking hole in it. It's like being like, oh yeah, this house is totally ready to live in and there's a wall missing of the house. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So their claims are that they have done 1 inspection, or 2 inspections, or 3 inspections and fumigations. Okay. The thing that's especially a problem is that they have claimed previously that they did an inspection in 24 hours on a Sunday and found no problems. That's not an inspection. That's an ass covering. Because an inspection to make sure there is not an infestation, you can't do that in a day in this amount of warehouse with this kind of shelving setup, where things are right next to each other, where there are thousands of shelves that will need to be looked at individually to actually make sure there's no infestation. And again, as I said before, it is possible to track exactly where in the warehouse your yarn came from. So if you call and say, I found eggs and larvae and bugs in my fucking yarn, and it was in pallet in purple, they can look up in the warehouse where the pallet in purple is kept, and they could send the exterminator to start there. But they don't tell us any of that. They keep it as vague as possible. And on the one hand, I understand there's a liability thing. Even good companies, even companies that don't fuck you over like this, they will keep to vague language because of liability issues, because their legal team's been like, oh, fuck no. But at the same time, they can track back exactly where in the warehouse your yarn came from. And so they could say, we were told which yarns were the problem, and that's where we started the inspection. And we didn't find any live bugs or larvae. Again, they don't mention eggs. I can't let that go. There's no live bugs or larvae. Well, guess where those come from? Eggs. And a trained exterminator will spot them, because that's the fucking job. Also, we did an internal warehouse investigation where we looked in the internal part of the warehouse, and then later they're like, oh, we totally looked externally as well on the outside of the warehouse. The fact that it's two different people giving that information, one of those didn't happen. I truly believe one of those did not happen. I don't know which one, but I do find it interesting that now they're saying we went we went externally. We checked around the outside of the warehouse. They are specifically saying we did that check. Which means that might have been the only one they did. And by that, probably they got pest control out to spray around the edges and be like, okay, we totally fumigated. But the other thing about this is, okay, so you did the external fumigation. Very common thing. But did you do it once? Twice? 3 times? Because you told the person on the phone that you've had 3 inspections and fumigation, but it sounds like you didn't list the number of fumigations. And if it's true that you did inspections and fumigations, let's say you have done 3 inspections with fumigations over the last 9 months. Okay? Let's say. That's just a schedule. That's just standard warehouse maintenance pest control. You come in once every 3 months, you spray all the places where they're most likely to get in, you go home. If there have been 3 inspections and 3 fumigations in the last 9 months, I don't think that they were special. I don't think that it was an extra thing they did. I think that legally they can say, we absolutely did 3 inspections and 3 fumigations, because that's how you do them. They come in quarterly. Alright? If you don't have any problems in your warehouse, it's a quarterly inspection and spray. So, if you've had 3 inspections in the last 9 months, which ones were the special ones, and why weren't you doing an inspection every 3 months? Because that's the implication. Because if these 3 inspections were special, then just show us you've been doing the regular work too. All you got to do is show some dates. Bust out their receipts. Show me the dates that show me the POs. Show me the invoice you received from the exterminators for all the work they've done in the last 9 months. That will shut me up a little bit. You're still on the hook for fucking lying. But An inspection every 3 months is a regular fucking inspection. And you're keeping things so vague and changing the number of inspections that I don't know how many you've actually had. Has Knitpicks actually been doing regular inspections and these are new inspections? Or is Knitpicks using its regular inspections as a cover? Because someone calls and says, I've heard that there's been this ongoing problem for months. And they go, oh, we spray. We've had 3 exterminators out and they've all sprayed. Okay. Was that on top of the other ones? Like, because this should have been a special circumstance, but it wasn't. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up about the warehouse and their claims about their inspections and all of that. I don't really have anything else to add. I think they're fucking liars. I think if you're trying to justify believing them when over and over and over again there's been proof that they're not telling everybody the whole thing, that they're changing their story, that they're trying to blame customers for not properly reporting by not providing photographs. You gave them their money back. Why the fuck didn't you ask for photographs? Well, because if you had the photographs, you would have to admit there's a problem. If there were photographs, you might have to answer to like OSHA because there's an infestation in your warehouse and OSHA doesn't like that. You might have to answer to a class action suit. I will, I'll be here. If you get further information, if you find bugs in your yarn, if you reach out to customer service, feel free to send me how you handled it. You can do it on Instagram, you can do it here. If you're a subscriber here, I believe you can see my email in my profile, otherwise you can't. I'm not going to recite my email, so yes, you will have to subscribe to get my email, but like if you drop me right after, I don't care. Like, you do you. But at the end of the day, Knitpicks doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your small business. I literally just got a comment up at the top of my phone as I'm recording saying, I use that for my small business. So like, keep this in mind. Knitpicks wants you to believe that they are a small little business doing their best, and their continued silence and their continued lies and their continued rewriting of what's happening is putting actual small businesses in danger. It's putting people's entire yarn stashes in danger. It's putting people's houses in danger. Are carpet beetles going to eat the walls? No, but an infestation is an infestation, and it can be very expensive and very exhausting and real shitty. Speaking of, I've had several people ask me, well, what do I do to protect myself? And a lot of people have had answers, which is phenomenal. But I have found a article from the North Carolina State Extension School that explains what to do if you think you have moths or carpet beetles. That is linked down in the basement. I thought it was a very good resource. It also debunks some, I'll call it pseudo-myths. Like, they're not old wives' tales, but it's stuff like keep it in a cedar chest if it's moths. Cedar actually loses its effectivity against moths after a little while. So it's stuff like that, like letting you know. I might have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. I don't even remember. It's been an hour. But I also know I mentioned it in the previous version I was trying to record, so who fucking knows where it ended up. But I wanted to let you know that is a resource that I thought was very good, that would be very helpful if you are looking for what to do. And whenever I can, I leave it to people who know more than me about the subject. Was that everything? I think that was everything. It's just a clusterfuck, and they don't care. And apparently, I'm fucking terrifying. I want you to think about that. TL Crafts, I think it's TL Yarn Crafts, who is like one of the biggest names that I can think of off the top of my head here on YouTube, gets tens of thousands of views. every time she posts. Stitcher's Gonna Stitch has, I think, almost 12,000 followers. I have a little over 700 because a bunch of you found me from my Knitpicks videos and subscribed. Thank you. A month ago, I had just passed 500. And that was after several years of posting regularly to YouTube. And that was also awesome. On Instagram, even with all the people who have followed me after I started talking about this, I think I still haven't broken 400. I am a nobody on the internet. I am a nobody in the influencer space. I am a nobody within the confines of the fiber artist influencer community, okay? That's very important here. I am not TL Yarn Crafts. I am not Stitcher's Gonna Stitch. I am not Moogly Blog. I am not Made in the Moment. I am so not someone of importance in terms of companies trying to give me free shit or get me to review things. Like, I'm just over here doing my thing, having a great time. And Knitpicks ran scared from me. That's what happened. They stopped answering my emails. They've suddenly started giving some information about how the warehouses are taking care of things when you push them. And they blocked me. So, if they could prove me wrong, why not just cease and desist me? Why not just put up information to prove me wrong? And say, hey, this person is out here saying these things, and here's proof that what they're saying is incorrect. That's what you do when you know that you are not the fucking problem. That's what you do when you are a company who knows that there is this story going around that you are lying to your customers, lying about caring for your customers, and lying about your product to your customers. Like, you run scared from me, but also say that you're totally taking care of it and you actually care about us. Like, and it's because the way you stop someone from saying shit about you on the internet, if you're a company, is you send a cease and desist. But then that means that I can ask to see proof that I'm lying. I can ask to see proof that I'm wrong, that I've been misinformed. So, if you can prove it, shut me up. That's all you gotta do. Okay, so yeah, like I said, this is probably the last update for a while because with Knitpicks blocking me and not answering my emails, I probably won't see anything until someone else posts something new. If you have information to send me, please feel free to send it along. Like I said, Instagram, my DMs are open. Just subscribe to get my email address off my profile. The Google Doc that has all of my information, I will be including the new info I have with the warehouse blog post, the North Carolina State Extension School information. I'm also going to put a link in there for Stitcher's Gonna Stitch because she did a great video and I think you should watch it. I need to sit down with more of her videos because I think she seems like a nice person. And I will be around. Right now, I need to be glad I'm done recording and deal with the fact that I have to pack my fucking office. Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here this long. This is a lot of video. Take care of yourselves. And just, yeah, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.